Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to GRC Football TV, Play to the Whistle. Today on the topics, we are going to talk about all about England. We're going to talk about Harry Maguire being selected even if he's not playing for Manchester United. Also going to talk about why other strikers actually bother going to the England team if they wouldn't actually play until Kane is like dead and buried. And we look at the realistic expectation of how the England will do in the World Cup. Of course, with me in the studio, we have Neil Hinder, Big Dunk, and the Angry One. Okay, boys, let's jump straight into it. Let's give people the football content that they want. Harry Maguire is being picked for the England team, and people don't understand why, considering the fact that he's not particularly playing for Manchester United. Still the captain of Manchester United, all good, but why is there so much faith and hope, and why does Southgate still stick with him, even with the amount of minutes he's playing? I will start with Dunk, because we all know how Dunk loves Southgate.
Love a bit of Gareth. Harry Maguire. Yeah. Well, I think the problem people have got with this whole situation at the minute with Maguire in particular, he's the focus of everyone's attention, is that Gareth Southgate isn't doing what he said he was going to do when he took over as manager. And he said, I'm going to pick players on form. And he's not. And after the game, there was big criticism of him picking Saka at left wing back. And he was asked why he didn't play Shaw or Chilwell. Do you know what his answer was? They're not playing for their clubs. Nice one, Gareth. So there's just that little bit of a hypocrisy from Southgate. I'll cut him a little bit of slack. I agree. I said, yeah, have Harry Maguire in and around the squad. That's fine. He played a back three, which Harry Maguire works better in the other night. So, I haven't got a massive beef with the Maguire situation. I don't think they lost the game because Maguire was in the team. But we'll talk about the other issues in a bit. I'll let the other lads have a say about Harry Maguire.
Yeah, but in terms of it's a bit of Southgate's contradicting himself though, because first of all, on GRC we have given him so much credit because he picks players based on what he wants to play. So he could pick a Harry Maguire that might not be the best in form, but it works for England. But Maguire is not playing, and he keeps going. Oh, I pick players that are on form, and then when it comes to Maguire, he's not on form. He's not playing well. So what right now is the reason, considering the array of centre backs that England has? So why would he be picking Maguire, Mr. Hinder?
He trusts him. I think it comes down to, and I think we've said it before, as much as Maguire's been absolutely dog doo-doo for United, for England, he's never really had that same level of terribleness. He was consistent in the Euros, and he's been fairly consistent, like Duncan said, with the back three. It suits him. It gives him that comfort of being able to play and be comfortable. And he can defend to a certain extent, especially when he's being told what to do. But who is there to go in? Who do you suddenly go, right?
Good question. I was just about to ask you that.
Liverpool, you would go, they've got a great centre back, right? Obviously they've got Van Dijk, but then they play Gomez, but he's been awful. So who you look across?
Ben
again,
White?
he barely gets Ben White potentially, but Ben White's playing out of position. So yeah, there's a couple that you could put in, but
Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, I'm assuming he doesn't like Tyrone. He's had him in the squad before, though, hasn't he?
Let me ask you this, though. You said he trusts him, which I understand, I agree with. But that trust was earned because he was playing well, and he has been playing well for England. And he used to play well for the club.
Wait, hold on,
He used to
rewind.
play well for Manchester United.
Was he playing well, or were England winning? I don't recall.
No, I think he was
having
playing
an
well.
Outstanding game against Minos. What?
I'll just jump in. I'll say when he came back in the Euros, he was quite good. He was quite impressive. I can't remember the exact game he came back.
It doesn't matter who's good against.
We weren't conceding goals. We weren't conceding a massive amount of goals. So regardless if he is the reason we're not conceding amount of goals, maybe you just don't take him out because we lost 1-0 against Italy. Like, all right, if it was any other thing, it was a crappy fucking shit wank friendly that really no one cares about, right?
It wasn't a friendly. It was a Nations League.
For the World Cup.
It's the Nations League. Who cares?
But they didn't qualify the World Cup. So at the moment, on current form, they're not all that.
That was their World Cup.
Right. So, and
that's
they still
their
beat
World
us
Cup,
1-0
right?
comfortably.
Yes. But
That's not Maguire's fault.
it's not
I'm
comfortable, is it? It wasn't a comfortable
They
game.
had
It
more
wasn't
chances. They had a few more chances than England. Let's be honest. I don't know if you watched the game. If you didn't,
Yeah.
you're lucky. But they had pure chances. There was a ball at the back post when that guy Scaramanga with the 3 nipples who plays for West Ham, he jumped off the back post.
Skamaka.
And he's lost Maguire. He's lost him completely. Maguire didn't even know what he was doing, and he could have scored that. And if he had scored that, we'd be talking about, oh, Maguire, why was he in the team? He's terrible. He got lucky there that the guy didn't score.
So
But
we had
let's
56.
clear this up.
So we had
Let's clear this up.
56%
1
of
second.
possession and 14 shots, and 4 shots on target. That's more than all of Italy's stats. The only thing they had more than us was fouls and corners. So we had more
the one
opportunities.
stat that matters.
It's goals. But you just said that we weren't dominated in the game. It was a boring, drab affair that we didn't care about. And as far as Italy concerned, they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So that is their biggest game they're going to get of the season.
But if we don't care,
so the question here is, let me ask you one question. Sorry. Thank you very much. The key
he's
thing
not
here
playing.
is
It's a friendly.
before we get into form and England not playing well and Southgate selection, let's just stick to the question here.
Because it was a pointless friendly that no one cares about other than about 4 people in the whole of England, which is why he played. Why?
Why did
Because
Harry
he's
Kane play the
captain.
whole game?
Captain
So
for
it's friendly. Doesn't matter.
So he will
matter, it's
always
friendly.
play because he's captain, and he's close to getting that record now, isn't he?
All right. So
I think that's why he wants it.
So is that Gareth Southgate's job to make sure that Harry Kane
No,
gets
it's
the
not. But Harry Kane's been playing well for Spurs, so why would you not play him?
because it's friendly. It doesn't matter. That's your words, not mine.
No, I said that Harry Maguire plays because it doesn't matter because it's a friendly. But Harry Kane will play because he's been playing really well and he's up to get another record. So why would he not want to play?
Because you want to see Ivan Toney or another striker.
I didn't.
Well, Dunk, let me ask you
Don't
this.
understand.
Dunk, let me ask you this. So you can't say that Harry Kane has been playing well. That's why he was selected. And then at the same time, talk about trust and other factors as to why you pick Harry Maguire. Sorry, I got confused there. 2 Harrys.
It's 2 Harrys.
So Harry Maguire, the bottom line, Dunk, I'll ask you this. Should he have been selected? And if you say yes, based on what criteria? And if you say no, based on what criteria?
Okay, should he be selected for the World Cup? Is it or that?
No,
game?
should he be selected at all? Because for some players you can't say, oh, I picked them because they're playing well, or I didn't pick him because he's not playing well, and then you pick a player that's not playing at all.
Yeah. So if you ask me, should he go to the World Cup? Yeah, I'd have him in the squad. If you ask Gareth Southgate, he's just being a massive hypocrite because he's the one that keeps saying, I'm going to pick on form. And that's what the issue that people have got a problem with. I haven't said I'll pick on form. I'm not the England manager. So like
You're not? Wow.
I'm not. I bloody well should be the way the John Southgate. Yeah, Gareth Southgate's doing at the minute. Yeah, he's just being a hypocrite. Like he's not doing what he said he was going to do, like I said, and people don't like him that he's acting like a hypocrite. You can't use that argument for one player and not use it for another player.
Well, Mike, you gave a selection of players that he could possibly play, and these are players that are actually playing for their clubs. Conor Cody, Mings, Eric Dyer played.
Tomori is the big name we
Tomori,
mentioned.
Tomori, Stones, Ben White. There are loads of players who could play there, and Ben White's on form. Even if you could argue that he's playing White right or
At least he's
White
playing
right.
though.
Yeah, so we still need to understand. Is Southgate saying that the system that he wants implemented with 3 at the back, he feels that regardless of Maguire not playing, he's still the best option that England has? Mike?
Well, I guess that's what he's saying because there is no other rationale. Because his original rationale was based on form, but he's clearly not on form, so that's went out the window. So if we're saying that he trusts him, he must think that guy is the best option he has in a back 3. Well, but we're only saying back 3 because we played a back 3. But I reckon he'd have played it even if we played a 2, because that's just his guy. That's it. It's blatant favoritism. You can mask it all you want, say it's a friendly and all that other bollocks. Bottom line is that's his guy. He trusts him. He wants him in the team regardless. Form, no form. That's it. He's just going to pick him, and he's just going to make excuses. In fact, I can't think of an excuse other than he's his favorite centre back, because there is no footballing reason that he should be in there in a friendly. By the way, other than give minutes maybe.
Mr. Hender, do you agree with Harry Maguire actually making the squad for the World Cup if he continues not to play for Manchester United?
I mean, if he doesn't play for United, I don't think he should make the squad. I think there's an element of he's been a good servant for England and hasn't let us down in the way that he has been so poor for Man United. It's like two different players when you look at the form he's actually had. You would never think that he was going to do what he's done for those mistakes at United for England. And I don't know whether that's just a more confident thing that he has, or the fact that they're playing with three at the back. How many defenders play with three at the back and can be confident with three at the back? Maybe that's one of the reasons he's getting in the team. There's no danger in taking him. Like, why would you not? Would I want to play? Would I want players to play just on form? Then yeah, but then I'm looking through the centre backs and going, those teams are playing rubbish at the moment. Like, oh, would you have Mings? Or Villa are just terrible. 1 week they're the worst team in the league. The next week they're getting a narrow win. Wolves are up and down. So finding the consistency of any defender currently this season is really hard. I don't think anyone stood out.
But they're all more consistent than Harry Maguire, who's not playing.
Well, that's Stones and Tomori straight off form players out of all the defenders. Yeah, so Ben White.
Ben White's playing out of position, which I'm assuming is the reason why he's not playing, because Ben White's been consistent, and I would agree. Maybe he doesn't favour Ben White, or maybe he doesn't. But and then I look through who he's played. He had Pope in goal. Walker came off right, and Saka was on. So he was obviously playing a 3-4-3 again, looking at the formation and the way that he lined things up. Jude Bellingham played. He didn't make that many substitutes. So we weren't exactly that far out in the game, though. We weren't like we were never out of the game. As much as the game was boring, we were never really out, or it was just a drab game of football that didn't sit well for most people. And I think I get Duncan's point. If he's turned out and he said, I want to play the players that are performing well week in and week out, it's what the fans want to hear and kind of what we want. But who are those players? You know, who does he see is playing well that particular week or not? But then he's the manager, and if he wants to pick strikers playing on form and then some defenders, or he goes, you know what, I really want to keep a really solid defense, and these players play well together, and I believe that they train well together, because we obviously don't know how well they trained. We don't know what was going on, but these players trained well. So this is the best opportunity, I think. Then fine, it's his call to make that decision, and he has done enough for me to say that I've got faith, at least for this tournament, in his process. Whether it's exciting football or really what I want to watch is a whole other story. However, we were good enough at the Euros to say, actually, you know what, if we don't do great in the Nations League, who cares? Let's play some worse teams and give all the the players that aren't quite there more football against worse teams. Maybe that's a good thing.
But also, by that logic, yeah, you can have by Southgate's logic, then you can have a piss poor season, but because you've never at the moment made a mistake for him, you'll be in the squad until, with no form, nothing, until you come to the World Cup and then make that mistake that you never made before.
It's going to be that one. And I agree. Like, so Harry Kane gets injured for 6 months and doesn't play, but then he's fit again. 2 months, because of the World Cup's in a stupid time. Gets injured 2 months. I still think you take him, because he's Harry Kane and he's proven at that level and he's going to score goals. Would I prefer to see Ivan Toney? Potentially, but what if Ivan Toney doesn't do it at that stage? You can't do it at that stage.
You never know unless you play him. But also there's a paradox here, because how was Southgate treating the game? If he's treating it just a friendly, no one cares, as you said, that's fine. But then by that logic, there's a few more players. So in that case, Maguire should play because it's only a friendly, no one cares. But then by that also logic, certain players shouldn't be playing to give other players a chance to see what they've got.
With that lineup, he didn't treat that as a friendly.
Exactly.
I agree.
That was.
So I don't think he had treated it as friendly. I'm saying for me, that's a friendly. I don't care. I really don't care about the Nations League. It's like your team winning the Johnson's paint tray, like literally, or Papa. Like, no one cares.
He played his first team. That's the team, pretty much. I would say that is going to start.
Do you think Jude Bellingham will start, or do you think he was getting bedded in against the more? Sorry, Jay. Do you think that as a potential, if I was England manager and I would want to get other players involved, like we know Harry Maguire shouldn't be really starting based on his current form, but should they bed in maybe one or two players into that team that are already cemented together and go, you know what, let's look at Jude Bellingham in that team. Is that a good thing to do? Rather than going, actually, here's 11 players that don't really play. We go and lose and everyone goes, Gareth, you should have picked all of these. But is he doing the right thing in just trying to bed in a couple? I'm just trying to think, is that maybe what he's doing?
Because Jude Bellingham's been knocking on the door, and I can't think of any English midfielder better than him right now. Somebody can correct me.
In that position.
Yeah, in that position. On current form.
But yeah, but he hasn't been playing for us, has he? That's what I'm saying. So I'm not
But
saying
for
that he
England,
should.
yeah, but that's because he hasn't been picked. That's Southgate's problem, isn't it? Because
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is this what maybe this is what he's doing? Going, actually, if we can get him in around the players that maybe are my best team, right? And he pick. I 100% Pickford would have played that game had Pickford been fit, right? And he wouldn't have picked Pope.
so
but
that was enforced change.
That was a forced change, right? But I look at that and go, really, Bellingham, he's tried to bed in, and in the end, he's had Pope. We're kind of
the future. He's not bedding him in.
And
so
take his place once he gets
in that team. I feel he's bedding him in because that looks like the starting lineup for a World Cup, right?
But
here's
also,
the question.
if that's gone then, Jay.
Go on,
The
Jamie.
question is, what I'm trying to understand is, first of all, when people say nobody cares, we're just a friendly, I don't buy it because how else are you going to test your team? How else are you going to see how good your players are? Number two, that was Nations League. It's a competitive game. So you can say, oh, I don't care about it personally. That's fine. That's you. But generally, for England, you have to care because that's the team that's going to play in the World Cup.
He didn't make hardly any subs either.
Exactly.
So
and the other thing I want to ask,
serious.
Dunk, I'll ask you this. Do you think, if you're speaking Harry Maguire, based on Harry Maguire is not playing for his team, don't you think that will impact the England team? Because other players will say, look, no matter what I do here, this guy here has a certain players that he trusts. So why should I actually care?
I'm not sure it'll impact the team, the squad, because they're like, he's got them together. They're probably a close-knit group at this stage. But yeah, anyone trying to get in. Like I've mentioned Tomori tonight. When's he ever been given a chance?
Never.
Has he had any starts? He won Serie A with Milan last year. Players like that, it might start affecting. If someone like that, yeah, he is in the squad. He's looking at Maguire playing for Man U and like all the circus around that, and Southgate's not picking him ahead of Maguire. That could start affect playing.
And by that logic,
players,
I don't think Luke Shaw's ever let Southgate down, as far as I know. He scored in the final. I don't think he's let him down, but he's not playing. Then you're playing Saka out of position.
I like your point, Mike. What you said a little while ago about like
all my points were valid. Which one?
But particularly one, like we can all see what's coming, can't we? Like if he's going to pick Maguire and out of form players who never let him down, we can all see what's coming at the World Cup. Someone or multiple people are going to let him down. That's what's coming down the road if he continues on this course.
And then but Chilwell hasn't played that much, but he hasn't let him down per se. So the logic of I get you trust the guy, but currently you're not playing on form. You're not even playing. So even if he'd have stuck true to form, he would have played Shaw and Maguire because he trusts them. And then we would probably have had this conversation because Shaw would have been a distraction because it would have been like, well, he's consistent in what he's doing. He trusts his players, even though we don't agree. That's why he's done it. But he did it for one and not the other. Why? And then to make matters worse, at least Maguire's a centre back. Fine, he's playing in position. You played somebody out of position instead of playing your trusted left back. Why? Come on, Gareth.
I think Saka's played left wing back this season.
Left wing back,
right wing back. Sorry, he's
in
played
a
this season.
3-4-3.
Yeah, in a 3-4-3. That's what he was playing, wasn't he?
He looked. I don't know if you watched the game. He looked out of sorts playing that position.
100%. But I think he's been out of sorts all season. I don't think he's quite up to the level where he should be.
Saka,
but I don't think he's consistent enough because he's got nothing at the top end product. But maybe that's why he thinks the same, and that's why he's put him further back the pitch.
Arsenal could be top by this stage if Saka was on form. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we are top. But anyway, apart from that, that's fine. Saka out of sorts, whatever. But then my point is, even if he can play left back or left wing back, that's not his favorite position, right? That's not his best position. He can play there, but you've got Chilwell and Luke Shaw who can play there and do play there, and that's their best position, and they're not playing.
Luke Shaw came on for him, though, didn't he?
He should have started, really, but by that logic.
Luke Shaw hasn't played enough for United, has he, this season? Which is, I'm assuming, why he hasn't started. Again, we all agree that Harry Maguire shouldn't have started. But I believe in that particular one, then he was just under the impression of we need to get on with what we've currently got and play the three at the back. And maybe that's something that we need to look at if we're going to continue. That we need to maybe embed the 3-4-3 in the team, and so everyone's capable of playing three at the back.
But if he's
and
good enough
White would be perfect for that.
But if he's good enough to come in as a sub, why isn't it good enough to start?
I didn't
And
make that
then-
decision.
And watch this Chilwell. Obviously, he didn't, because otherwise your name would be Gareth Southgate. But we're here to debate it, innit? So give us your opinion. Why is he good enough to come on but not start? And also on that note as well, by the way, slight deviation. Trent. Everyone says his best position is wing back. Blah blah blah. You bring him. The one time we're going to actually play a wing back when he doesn't have to defend as much because he's playing wing back, he doesn't even play. He plays James. What's the point of bringing Trent then?
Well, we'll answer some of these questions when we actually get to the topic of actually looking at what Southgate is going to do for the World
Just
Cup.
saying, innit?
But as it stands now, it's, as far as I'm concerned, every reason or excuse that you guys have given for Southgate as to why he played Maguire or why he shouldn't play Maguire, those things are contrasting each other and they're just confusion all over the place. But Harry Maguire played. It wasn't his fault that England lost. But we'll see what happens with other
It's
games
Walker's
to
fault.
come.
He backed off. He should have been tighter.
Maybe. Yeah, actually, not maybe. It was. So,
Did we just blame
moving-
Maguire anyway?
yeah,
But
pretty
because he
much.
was on.
Which is
Talking
what
about Maguire. He was looking over his shoulder to see where Maguire was. That's why.
I mean, Maguire, even when he's on the bench, he gets blamed for Man United, so he might as well start getting the same for England. Sticking with England and Gareth Southgate's decisions and reasons. So you have Ivan Toney that was selected, I believe, because of his form this season, and to show that for the past few seasons and games, he's improving. He can play up top, big man, hold the play. Or he's everything you want in a striker. Pretty much is good. And then you have the situation that Harry Kane is on form for Tottenham. He's playing really well, which is why he was selected as well, and he's the captain. But in games like this, is the message to other strikers that you're only going to be number 2 to Harry Kane, regardless of what formation Southgate wants to play? And once again, I'll start with Dunk because I know Dunk loves this, loves it.
Yeah, to the question, absolutely. Like, as long as Gareth Southgate's manager, no one's getting in that team ahead of Kane, and he's not even playing 2 strikers. So if you're another striker in the squad, you ain't getting a look in. You'll be lucky if you get the last 10 minutes of a game. One of the things I found funny, like I knew this straight away when Tony got selected for the squad. It was like, yeah, great, and news stories. Tony's in. Like, I knew he wasn't going to play. Like, Southgate's been England manager for how long? 5 or 6 years now. Like, that's what he does. He plays Harry Kane, and he doesn't play formations with 2 strikers, and he doesn't change. So after that game,
is there a right or wrong to that though? It's working so far.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong to it. Well, personally, tactically, I think there's a bit of a wrong to it when Kane plays the way he does for England. He gets goals. He's had an awful lot from set pieces from goals, but he's always
going to open play for donkey's years.
He does what he does for Spurs. He drops out of position. He drops deep. He goes wide. Like, there was a couple of times in that game against Italy, he's putting crosses in for Sterling. Like, what kind of system is that? Where Harry Maguire's out wide and he's putting crosses in for Sterling.
And where's Foden, by the way, when he's doing that?
But say again?
Where's Foden when he's doing that? Because he's occupying Foden's space.
Yeah. But like that's the way Kane plays. And so the thing that just made me laugh was seeing all the media coverage after the game saying, "Oh, what was the point in calling Ivan Toney up if you weren't going to use him?" Bloody speak to Tammy Abraham. That dude's been called up for how many games now? Like, and they thought Tony was going to get straight into the team. And just in all this discussion, though, it is going to be interesting to see what he does against Germany, because, like, I think we've agreed, like, mostly, that the kind of team he put out against Italy is the kind of team he wants to put out of the World Cup. So is he going to do the massive change thing against Germany and give some players a chance?
Get whacked 5-0.
But maybe they'll do well. And, like, I don't think he'd still change. I think he could play a completely different team. They could beat Germany and he'd still play the team he started against Italy for the World Cup.
Yeah. Harry Kane is starting no matter what, which he's the best English striker at the moment. You can't complain in that respect. Well, you can a little bit. But in a game like this, it's a friendly. No problem with Kane starting if that's because, fucking hell, Maguire started, so who cares? But at some point, you've got to bring on somebody else. for what, half an hour or so just to give a look, because like you said, it's a friendly, right? Give him a look. You're going to bring on Ivan Toney for the last 10 minutes under the
It
cosh, and then you're going to say
it is
then
not
he
a
won't score.
friendly.
He won't score, and then he'll say, "Oh, he's not world class." You're giving him 10 minutes. Kane's had 600 minutes and he ain't scored for a while. I know he scored.
Let me ask you
before
this,
that.
Mike. Mike, let me ask you this: if Dunk mentioned that Kane, he's adapted his game. He drops deep. He does midfield things. He occupies people's positions. He offers more than just being a striker, and he still scores a lot of goals.
Yeah,
Is that a good enough reason as to why somebody could say, the other strikers don't do that to their game? They don't have that, extra zeal, extra skill. Is
yeah.
that another reason why Kane will always play? Because correct me if I'm
Well,
wrong here.
shouldn't be.
In the final, they took out Mason Mount, who was supposed to be doing what Kane was doing, and still left Kane in the game instead of putting another midfielder. So is it because Kane adds extra stuff to his game that,
That doesn't really make sense
Southgate
because
just goes,
the manager
no.
sets up a tactical plan. Yeah, do this, do that, whatever. If Kane is deviating from that plan and playing his own game, that's quite selfish. And also, Southgate's a mug for allowing him to do it. Now, if he's playing that way and he wants him to play that way, that's fine. But I don't think he is, because it doesn't seem to be anybody occupying the space that Kane's leaving. So it doesn't look like there's any sort of plan. Oh yeah, Kane. We all know Kane's going to do that. So when he does that, let's get in the box. It's not. He's supposed to be there and score goals. As far as I can see, in a 3-4-3, that striker should be central, unless he's going to be playing a false nine. But then if that was the case, Foden and Sterling would have been higher up the pitch, but they weren't. So what's going on? Are you playing him as an out and out striker, or was he dropping deep?
I mean, he was crossing the balls for Sterling, as Dunk said.
And he's so
Neil,
desperate to get a goal. There's times that he could have just passed the ball a couple times to Foden or Sterling, and he's shooting from random spaces. Like, what are you doing?
he's Harry Kane. He can shoot from anywhere. Neil, let me ask you this. Southgate, what is his preferred formation? And from what I can tell, he either wants to play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. Dunk has mentioned that when he plays 3-5-2, he only plays Harry Kane as the main striker, probably plays a midfielder there to join him. Do you think he should be a bit more experimental? Maybe like Eddie Howe, Dunk? Or is he just going to stick to three at the back regardless?
I mean, I think the way football's changing, he's going to stick to three at the back regardless. And we've got some fantastic wing backs. I think that also means that we can get Trent in the game and not worry about him bombing forward. Disappointing that he didn't play, and I'm assuming he's carrying a little bit of an injury, or Klopp's begged him not to play him. I think there's got to be something in that for why he hasn't played. 3-5-2, 3-4-3. The 3-5-2 is just another variation of 3-4-3. It's just slightly moved the one
can I just
midfielder
have a
slightly
quick
forward.
question?
One. Come on, man.
You might be able to correct me here, but when did he go to a 3-5-2 or like 3-4-3? I thought he just whipped that out for the Germany game in the Euros, but he's always been a 4 at the back man.
Yeah, I thought that.
He does like a 4 at the back, but I think he's gone 3 more recently in England. I'd have to look through the stats to find out what's going on.
That's the first time I've seen that formation, to be honest. But
no, I think he's played it before, and I think it's one of those things that seems to have come in quite a lot this season, especially in the Premier League, playing with 3 at the back. So that kind of helps. But I also think it's really important that if we get 3 at the back, that gives Trent so much more support, that Trent can just be Trent and just do what he does best. And let's be honest, that boy can cross, shoot, pass. He can do everything apart from tackle.
Because Kane won't be there.
Defend.
Well, no, he can't tackle. But that's the important thing when you've got 3 centre backs. You don't need your wing backs to be doing that. It's really, if you have a look at the heat maps of the game, I know it's just going a little bit off that. And have a look what was going on the left-hand side. You've got Saka and Sterling literally almost in the same position on their heat maps. And really interestingly enough as well, Harry Kane's massive amount of area is exactly the same as Raheem's and Saka's. They're all around that same area of the pitch, which obviously indicates massive problems. And I'm assuming they'll look at it. No one played badly for England. It was just a drab affair. Right?
Saka didn't play that well because he's playing that position.
He played okay. It wasn't a great game, but he didn't.
That's how I know you're lying.
Bad,
Do you think?
right? No. He just carried on his continual form for me. I don't think that any of them were. We didn't get spanked or anything. It was 1-0 in a drab game. Let's be honest. If it was 2-1 and we had a really good game, we'd be having a different conversation. Going, it was really, really close. We were unlucky. It was just one goal with Kyle Walker should have done better in that incident. But it's very worrying that you've got Harry Kane coming deep. We've got, like you say, Saka playing out of position. Regardless, he doesn't play there anymore. Really, that's not his preferred position, and he's probably not someone we're looking at. But that said, he's obviously thinking if Saka can't defend, which is fine, Harry Maguire's behind him that can mop up the defence, and then you've got Kyle Walker would be my issue on the back three of being defensive defenders, if that makes sense. White instead of Walker for me, because he can defend better. If you're going to have midfielders that don't potentially come, the 3-4-3, they're not going to be coming back. And then you've got Trent bombing forward. But Harry Kane needs to figure out, and Southgate needs to figure out, if he's having him there, what he's actually going to do. Because it's detrimental to the team not having Harry Kane as someone to aim at, someone to be in that box. And don't get me wrong, he can pass and cross the ball beautifully, but he's passing and crossing the ball to players that really don't have the end product that he has, unfortunately. And we know that Sterling can score from the back post and a nice low cross, but he needs somebody in the box and other people to take the ball away. Take the players away so he's in there, not the pivotal point.
Personally, I think if Tammy or Calvert-Lewin or Tony, any of those players, those strikers, were playing the way that Kane's playing now and not scoring, that would be the last time that they play for England. Everyone will be saying, he's not in the box. He should be in the box. Where's the striker? Blah blah blah. But when Harry Kane does it, it's all right. Forget about it's Harry Kane. I'm talking about that's your number, whatever night. That's your striker. He's supposed to be in a certain place or around a certain area, and you've even said it. He's not. He's there cuddling the wingers and fullbacks.
Yeah,
he's not supposed to be doing that. But he's getting away with it because he's Harry Kane.
But we're saying we're not supposed to.
I want to understand this though.
Maybe he is.
Thank you very much. We keep saying he's not supposed to be doing this. How do we know he's not supposed to do it? Because he does it, far too often for somebody to say, "Oh, he's not supposed to do this."
It's not one game. I agree, George. It's not one game.
Southgate now, because that is the worst tactics I've ever seen. When we've got three players bunched together.
That's why I asked. That's why the initial question was: are we sure that? With all the other strikers, they know Harry Kane. The man can hold the ball. He can drop deep. He does it for Tottenham. And we have been saying this thing over and over again. So I think it's happened way too many times for you to say, he's supposed to be doing that. However, Dunk, no, actually, I'll stay with Mike. Mike, do you think that the formation will possibly change if you play the likes of Tammy or, Ivan Toney? Do you think that it will make England have to play a particular style that might be predictable compared to the diverse Harry Kane?
Maybe, but the thing is they can't or won't, whichever you prefer, won't be doing all of that stuff that Kane's doing. For me, it's a case of Harry Kane has changed the way, or evolved, if you want to call it that, whatever, his style of play, and somehow that's now influenced the way that he plays for England. But they're two separate types of games. You can do what you want for Tottenham. That's how they want you to play. You've got Son creeping in. He's always there, and you've got a few other guys in Tottenham. That's not how England play. So you can't just come and just do what you want for England. What's that about? And then Southgate says, "Oh, okay, because you play like that for Tottenham, we're international Tottenham, so you can play like that for us." No, it's not. It's not, because I guarantee you now, if Tony plays, you won't see him do that. Southgate, he's not going to do that. And Southgate's not going to tell him to do that. So why is it when Kane does it? It doesn't make sense. What's that about? Is it
how much
coincidence that he's playing exactly the same way for club and country, and he only just started playing that way a season and a half ago? Before that,
after pretty much after Mourinho,
right. But he played for Southgate before that, right?
Yeah, he did.
Right.
So at the time, Southgate didn't understand that he had these skills in his locker.
So he's basically you allowing him to play the way he plays for his club.
Is that a bad thing? It's looking like that.
Is it?
It's a bad thing if it's not working.
England show.
I'd agree, with what Mike just said. Southgate is letting him play the way he plays for his club, and that is influencing and affecting how England play and affecting the other players that are playing with him. Because remember I said when he was linked to Bayern, we were talking about that before, I said it'd be great if he went to Bayern because he might evolve and learn some new ways of playing football that would benefit England. That's what I said at the time. And I think it's right. There is an element of he just lets Harry Kane do his thing on the pitch, and now England are just stuck with that. There's no playing with a different way from that. He's not going to put another striker in it, and that's how Harry Kane plays.
I agree, and I think that there's a negative and a positive. The positive is if he's playing the same for club and country, that could be a really easy fix, right? If England can't play that way, then then Southgate needs to say, like, Harry, you need to play differently. The issue is he hasn't got Son and Richarlison, right, either side of him. And I'm not saying that Sterling and Foden are not good enough, but they play completely different to those two players. So either Southgate's got a long-term plan that Sterling and Foden or Sterling Saka, whoever he's got at the top,
to Tottenham,
that that play like that. But there's no reason not to turn into Tottenham. They're doing really well. So
not top though.
Then they're not top, but let's just not worry about who's top at the moment, right? I still tip them for the league. It's a slow progress. It's a hard change with England to come in. I've got major concerns of taking Harry Kane out and just putting Ivan Toney on and going, right, this will be it. Well, because he's not really played enough for England in there and to be our pivotal point. I wanted to see him play more and be brought in. He needs to be brought in after 20 minutes 20 minutes to go or 45 minutes to go. I don't think he's good enough for that caliber as of yet. I've not seen him. He's not proven. And let me finish because I've got another player I want to bring in. Tammy Abraham, who has played exceptionally well for Serie A, banged in goals in the Prem, banged in goals in the Championship, and every club that he's been to scores a lot of goals. I'd like to see him given some more chance. However, he needs to be brought into to more games and maybe start more games first, way before I see Ivan Toney, because Abraham is consistently performs at good teams.
I agree, because there's something. Here's what will happen in reality. Yeah, either those guys come in, if they don't score in the 20 minutes that you give them, garbage minutes, he's not good enough. Harry Kane, because of what he's done in the past, can go literally for eternity and not score for all the way up until the World Cup. And he did it in the World Cup. He wasn't scoring that many goals. Sterling was stiffness for most of the time until he eventually scored. Any other striker in that position once they're off in a cup competition, you can't wait for Harry Kane to get going, surely. But we will.
Here's the thing that cracks me up, and please clarify for me. Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah,
the players play for their club, and that is the only way that they show how much form and how good they are. So when you now say he is not good enough to play for England,
yes,
how else is he going to be good enough other than playing for his club?
He could play for a better club for a start. I mean, I'm not saying Brentford are like, oh great, you're really good at Brentford, but then
he was angling for a job at the FA.
Yeah, but aren't they playing against the same players that Harry Kane's playing against?
I don't understand.
Yeah,
please,
but what about
me.
You go from one club to another to better. Look at Jesus for instance, going to Arsenal, 10 times better than he was at Man City.
Arsenal are a worse team than Man City.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So he goes to Arsenal. He's 10 times better. He goes back to Man City, and you're like, oh, he's bang average. But that's the problem. So you've got Ivan Toney being a great player at Brentford. He then moves to the stepping stone club of Arsenal or Southampton, and then he goes on to the better club. You're like, actually, mate, you're not good enough.
I'm confused. Okay. You are actually judging the guy on something that he has to do that he has not done.
Okay. That's why England won't win anything, because Italy. Mancini picked players actually on form. Didn't matter what team they were playing for, whatever. They won the Euro. Shouldn't have won the Euro though. We should have beat them, but ultimately they did. Yeah, and actually before that game, they were sublime in the Euros, by the way. And he picked players on form. He didn't worry about what team are you playing for. It's can you fit my system? If you can fit my system, you're good enough. And obviously,
we've just moaned about people not fitting systems. So if he's got a system, like what does he want to do? And I agree. There's about 15 different ways that you can go. You go, I've got a system and I need to get the best players in the league for that system. But I'm still taking
systems are limited. That's why the players don't fit with England, because Southgate's systems are limited.
But Southgate hasn't got a system.
And I agree.
Southgate hasn't got a system, or his system's not strong enough. Because if he had a system, he would not allow Harry Kane to play the way he plays for Tottenham.
So before Harry Kane was selected for England, Neil, according to your logic, he was good enough because he was playing for a big team and he was scoring goals, right?
You don't pick players in League Two to play for England because they're playing and banging goals. You have to do it consistently at bigger clubs.
Thank
you very much. What is the bigger standard?
I want to disagree with Neil. Like, if you're doing it at a lower club, like, that's twice as impressive. You're doing it against the same teams as all the big clubs, and you're performing like in a more limited team, and that's more impressive for me.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's standing out because he's in a limited team. He's not banging in like 20, 30 goals in a season. He's banging out 10 or 15, and we're going yes, and you're like, well, that's really not banging goals in, right?
Okay, but anyway,
let me just get this right. If Ivan Toney for you, if he stays in Brentford and he scores
20, he's got to get 20 Prem goals at least.
You expect Ivan Toney,
Well,
You said
listen, you're
Brentford
telling me
is
that he should be scoring
no, I'm not.
goals.
No, no,
We're
I'm
doing
not
it.
telling you. I'm asking.
Okay,
I'm asking.
if you're asking me,
I'm asking you based. I
somebody
haven't even
needs
asked you.
to.
Let me ask you.
Oh, go on
Let
then.
me ask you.
All right.
According to you,
No,
you're
that's not
saying
asking. You're saying according to me. So what's the
because it's
question?
something you said. Because it's something you said. Let me finish the question.
Yeah,
And
go on then.
maybe you. So he's not good enough because he plays for Brentford, and Brentford is a lower, lower team of the table.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't say he wasn't good enough because he played for Brentford. I said he needs to prove himself at a better club.
He's proving himself where he is,
Mm.
but that's not good enough. He needs to go somewhere else to
Yes.
prove himself before.
Okay, but let me say something as well about when you play.
Well, why would Ericsson leave Brentford and go to Man United?
Money, 200,000 a week.
That was it.
Yeah,
Didn't
But-
Brentford offer him a fortune?
but also
No,
anyway,
I don't think they offered him 200,000.
let's be honest. The reason why Ivan Toney is in the team is not because he's better than Kane. I mean, he may one day be, who knows? But it's because he offers he's a different option, right? So
Yeah.
we're not comparing like for like. So Harry Kane's a 20-goal a season man, whatever. Your star striker, okay, but he's not. Let's say for argument, he's not quick, and he's maybe
we
not as
don't have to
mobile.
argue about that. That's 100% true.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
that's why you bring in the Tammies and the other people. So you have to play these guys at some point in some system to see what, because they might be the difference maker. When games are tight and Harry can't score, you bring on a second striker, make it 2 up front maybe, or you take Harry off. I don't mind which one, but you can't just have these guys sitting on the bench year after year after year after year. And let's talk about succession planning, by the way. What happens then if Harry Kane gets injured in the first game? These guys have not played one single minute for England, and then you're expecting these guys to do what? Just magically, what will get us into the quarterfinals?
Sorry,
As a manager, that is piss poor planning. Simple as that.
I'll just make a point and I'll ask a question as well. Like what I'd like to see for England, and Mike just mentioned it there, is him to try 2 up top. Has he even done it? I don't think he's ever done it, has he? But I'd like to see that. And the question is, do you think Harry Kane is the problem there? Because he says to Southgate, I can't play with another striker. I can't play 2 up top.
Well, he plays 2 up front. He played 2 up top for Tottenham for a little while. But it looks like, well, who's the manager here? Harry Kane or what? Listen, Gaffer, I'm just going to play how I want. I'm the English Pirlo. I'm going to do what I want. Yeah, don't worry about the other guys. Okay, Harry, you do what you want. Guys, follow Harry. Because that's what looks like what's happening.
Calvin Phillips is the English Pirlo, not Harry Kane.
He can't play because he's not on form. Oh, no, he's injured. It's fair enough. But you see what I mean? You can't tell me that it's a coincidence that as soon as Harry Kane's style of play changes, England's style of play changes. Come on, guys. Come on.
If we're sticking, let's stay on this
He's
for
never
a bit.
scoring.
If we're sticking to decisions being made by Southgate, first of all, I don't think I think it'd be wrong to say that Harry Kane pretty much says, "Oh yeah, Gary, I'll play like this today." But the thing, what we're trying to understand here is the team pretty much plays around Harry Kane. I think we can agree
No
to that,
problem
right?
with that at all. That's great.
Okay, so do you think there's an issue with, because Neil mentioned you would think in a game like that you play Trent, because you want somebody going forward. Now, if the team revolves or plays around one player, which it seems like is Harry Kane, is there a difficulty in getting the team to play around the likes of Tammy or Ivan Toney? Do you think it will have to change much? Is that why he doesn't play them?
Nobody knows because
And
they don't play. So
And is there like a defensive issue knowing that, okay, fine, we still need to play around Harry Kane, but if we play the likes of Trent, that actually gives us more holes in our team. Dunk.
I think Trent for Southgate is firmly in that category that Mike said before. Like he's had a little bit of a chance and he didn't do particularly great. And he's down Southgate's list now. Maybe he's only in the squad due to public pressure, but he's
Could
clearly
it be that
behind
Reece James is better?
Yeah,
That's why.
he's clearly behind Reece James. But like he never really gives Trent a chance in the England lineup. He's behind Reece James. If he goes to a back 4, he's going to prefer whatever, Reece James or putting Walker there or Trippier. We haven't mentioned today. Trippier is actually on form and deserves to be in that team. He can play left back as well. So he's down the list. Like he has to, like against Germany, he has to play some of these players. He's got to give them a chance, and like this, what the public are looking for him to try people out. And we're having all these discussions about that he doesn't know what these players are going to do. He can always say about training and he sees them there, but we need to see some of these players playing. He needs to give them a chance against Germany.
And here's the worst part: you're going to give Tony or whoever a debut against Germany, yeah? Nah, but we played Moldova and all those shitbags throughout the whole years. You never played them then. And Harry Kane's got a hat trick or
Ladies
whoever.
and gentlemen, we do not call any country shitbags here on
Sorry,
GRC
apologies,
Football
Moldova. You know,
TV.
shitbags. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, you played these
He was
lesser
referring
teams.
to the standard of their football.
Yeah. So you're playing these lesser teams, and Kane and other people are scoring loads of goals, filling their boots. Even Maguire scored that header one time. That's the time that you're going to play these guys against the so-called lesser opposition, so we can see them and there's less pressure on them. You're going to put Ivan Toney now. He's going to have to score to even get in the squad next.
Okay, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot just because I like to do it. I'm based on, and before anybody tells me, oh, but I'm not the England manager. Now let us assume, yes, that you are the England manager and you are picking players on form. Mr. Hinder, please tell me your top 11, your first 11, sorry, for England. And what criteria are you picking them?
Jesus.
Because you could pick League Two.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be picking League Two players. Firstly, we're playing against Germany in all accounts is probably the smallest game that we'll ever play Germany in. Literally, Germany and England both don't care about this.
That's a lie.
Hungary are
How
top.
do you know this?
There's a
First
World
of all,
Cup. It's
no,
their
no,
last game before the World Cup.
Exactly. So this is a good opportunity. They're both down. What I mean is that if you look at the group, they're like it's pointless. So
I don't think you've ever had a rival in your life, have you? Because if you had a rival, you would know
yeah,
there are no
no,
friendlies.
100%. But at the moment, like they don't care about the league. We haven't cared about the league, so it's probably the best time to play Germany in any friendly or anything outside of a decent competition, right? Because this isn't a decent competition, and it was made by FIFA to make some cash, or UEFA to make some cash on our side. Not that they're corrupt or anything, but that aside, if we're looking at players that we're going to have, and based on form, you still got Harry Maguire in the team, has to play.
No,
regardless.
not we. You.
I'm England.
Everybody.
I play.
Everybody
I'm
else.
manager, so I'm we.
Okay.
Yeah.
You put
So
Maguire.
I put
Okay.
we. Yeah, royal
Okay.
we. That's fine. Harry Kane is going to be playing because he's definitely on form. In goal, Pope, because he's been. I would have had Pickford because he played really well the other day, but he's injured now. But Pope deserves it on form. Centre backs. I mean, it's a really hard one when you're looking at English centre backs. Ben White would have been a no-brainer for me because he's been playing well, but I don't really want Ben White playing right back for England. So that's a bit of a shame.
You're your manager. You can play him centre back if you want.
So I play. I don't know if I want to play three. I don't know if he's played centre back enough. That's the problem I've got this season, just on players that have played. Mings came back in and played well the other day in a game. So maybe you put Mings and Cody, and then I'm like, that doesn't look that great, robust for me. But maybe Mings and Cody, Trent as right back, left back Trippier, because I love Trippier, and he's like Duncan said, and he's also a set piece specialist as well. So that's going to be really, really helpful. Then you've got across the middle. I'm going to have Reece James. I'll put him on the right. I really want to put him in the centre, but keeping on form, I'm going to stick him on the right. Centre of the park. Ooh. Can we have Lampard and Gerrard? Or are we still not allowed to pick those two?
This is not FIFA. This is like,
Oh, I bet they've got some good cards this year.
No, they're shit. Both those cards are always shit.
Have they not got some good cards yet? Not fast enough. That's the problem. I think you'd have Rice in the centre of the park. And, oh, man. I don't think anyone else is playing great. If on form, Ward-Prowse.
What?
On form. Like, who else has been playing well for who's English? Right? That's the problem.
This is probably a good example. Maybe, as what Mike said, maybe Harry Kane is actually telling Gareth Southgate what to do. I mean, Neil is like, he doesn't know who should I play.
If I'm picking players on form, this is where you've got the problem. Like, Foden, all right, I mean, he's been playing well, but I'm not going to put him in the centre of the park. I'll put him behind Harry Kane, maybe. And then I'll play a slightly odd formation because I think Trent can play right full back, right midfield. He plays like Ramos used to play back in the day.
But in reality, the starting lineup will be the same lineup as last time. The best one. Take out Maguire. Take out Maguire, put another centre back in. Take out Saka. Saka or Foden play on the right, and then you put an actual left back, and that's pretty much the team.
Mike, please tell me your.
But the form is horrendous,
11.
right?
So
if you look at the English
basically,
players.
to make it easier for everybody, the same team we played when a 3-4-3, the exact same team,
Yeah.
Except you take out Maguire, you put Stones as an example, You take out Saka from left wing back. You play an actual wing back. So probably you'd play Chilwell. I'd play Chilwell over Shaw, but either of them, I don't really mind. And you pick between Foden or Saka at right wing back if you're playing a 3-4-3. That's it. That's the only changes. Harry Kane has to
Dunk?
start. No, you can't dispute that. No one can dispute that. Maguire doesn't start unless he picks up form between now and then. That's the only change you really need to make, and that's pretty much what's going to happen. He's not going to do anything wild. If he plays a 3-4-3, that's going to be it. As soon as Chilwell or anybody has form, they'll play left back. If he plays Saka at left wing back, at the start of the World Cup, when he's got fully fit wing backs, he's a nutcase.
Dunk, you know Mr. FIFA special himself.
Yeah,
What would be your?
He's going to play diamond.
I'll make a few changes. I'd probably go a 4-2-3-1.
See,
So I think I'll keep Pickford his place. So I think he has been showing some pretty decent form in the Premier League this season, and he's been decent for England. Right back, we'll put Reece James. Centre backs, yeah, I'm having Stones and Tomori all day, like on form. Absolutely, Stones and Tomori. Stones even scored a banger the other week for Man City, absolute banger. Left back, I think I'd agree with Neil. I'll go for Trippier because he can play that and he's a set piece specialist. I think I trust him over any of the left backs he's got in the squad. Midfield, I think I'm happy with Rice and Bellingham. And then wide players, Sterling probably deserves to keep his place. I think I'd play Saka on the right. I put Foden in behind Kane, which would be my starting lineup.
Well, let's see if Southgate listens to this podcast. Southgate is GRC Football TV. Please listen, and maybe you might get an education. Okay, so now let us look at, what do you guys think? Let's try not to, I mean, it's difficult, but let's try not to base it on the current form and the way the team is playing now. Maybe things will change. So England is in the same group as Wales, Iran, and the United States of America. Regardless of who he plays, 3-4-3, 5, whatever formation, Mr. Hinder, England getting out of the. How far do you think England going to the World Cup?
We win it. Simple. We
Bet
won
your house
it.
on that, are you, Neil?
I'd never bet my house on any football game or any tournament. That would just be ridiculous. But we won it. Form beforehand, again, Nations League counts for diddly squat in my personal opinion. I don't think it's important enough. Yes, there's some of the games that are really impressive and good to play. Since watching England and growing up, like when I was real young and the early teens, the England friendlies meant something and they were fun to watch and they were good to watch. After that, they got silly beggars where there was like 5, 6, 7 substitutions changed. And I think at that point they dropped off. And then we started playing the minnows, the really small teams. And like no one cared, literally. The care of a friendly is ridiculous. What they should have done is put maybe more friendlies in and made them more important. But less of this league. This league is nothing for me. But I still think England have a really good, solid foundation. If we get a good draw of after the group stage, which I would assume we'd walk through, whether that's just me being English and ridiculous, right? We should walk through that group by all standards, and we get a good run. Why not go all the way? I need to see it in my lifetime. I have to see it in my lifetime that we win a World Cup.
All right. Dunk, you agree with Mr. Hinder winning? Or do you think he's just being emotional since he wants to see a win in his lifetime?
I think he must be really emotional right now if he's saying England are winning the World Cup. Yeah, I'm not as emotional, and I'm not going to share his optimism. I mean, yeah, just quickly looking back at the last couple of tournaments then, because that's the defense for Southgate. Okay, so we got the semi and the final. So I think people are entirely justified at that World Cup saying the draw was ridiculously easy. And we lost to Belgium, we lost to Croatia, we lost to Belgium again. So, it's a semi-final, but there's nothing that impressive. The Euros was more impressive, and we got that win against Germany, which was big. It's just my opinion that since that final, like maybe the players have as well. I think people have just lost faith in Southgate. I think his shelf life has expired because he didn't go for it in the one opportunity we've had in the last 50, 60 years. So I don't think we'll walk the group at all. I think there's going to be some tough games in there. I don't know. We could even get second place in the group. It doesn't matter. I think
Second place to who?
any of them. Any of them.
USA.
Iran beat someone the other night. Who did they beat? 1-0. Someone decent. Uruguay, was it?
Yeah.
I think Iran beat Uruguay.
But we cannot base these things on friendlies, as you said.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm
there's no
not
point in friendlies then. You might as well just wait until World Cup every 4 years and just go and play.
I think the group will be a scrap. Like England's groups are normally a scrap. They're typically like a win and 2 draws, something like that. So yeah, we'll get out the group. Like if we come second in the group, we're done. We're finished. Because we'll come up against someone good. And if we come first in the group, I'll give us the next round, the quarterfinal. I can't see us doing any more than that. Southgate's had his shelf life, and the longer he's there, the easier England are to play against. People have just sussed it out.
Mike?
We have the capacity to win the World Cup, obviously. Win top 8 teams, probably. But I agree with Dunks. I'm looking at the friendlies and where we're playing. If we were on fire, I don't care who's scoring, Hurricane's supposed to be scoring, but even if it wasn't him, and he was getting assists, and we were like, looking good in the friendlies, I'd say this is a good sign of what's to come. But based on how we're playing now, and even how we played in the previous tournament, we didn't smash anybody really that much. So I think we'll probably, like Duncan said, we'll get out of the group, but it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be 3 wins, 3-4-0 and champagne football. That's not even the way Southgate plays anyway. So, we'll get out of the group, and it depends who we get in the quarters. If we get anybody decent, it's squeaky bum time, to be honest.
You guys, I mean, Duncan, Mike, you've pretty much said the same thing in terms of if we get anybody decent. Now, by decent, what's the level of football you're talking about here?
Iceland. What?
I would say like any top 10 team in the world. Top 10, top 20 even.
Wow.
It's like when we're having this conversation, like Mike said about the friendlies, if we were playing great, like it's not as if Southgate's got anything up his sleeve. He's putting out his favourite players in his favourite formations in these games, and this is how they're playing.
And he won't even play plan B. We know what Harry Kane's got in his locker. We know any given time he can score if he gets a good chance normally. So when we're losing to Italy in a friendly, change it. Put Saka on the right. Bring on whatever winger you bring on Trent. Bring on Tony. You didn't do nothing like that. So what? Are you trying to hide your plan B till the World Cup? I don't really get it. What's going on?
You couldn't bring on Tony. He was dropped out.
Or whoever. So okay, Tammy. Sorry.
So he's brought him out. I think everyone reads way too much into the games. You look at any past 10 years of England games, they've been shoddy in friendlies. They've been sporadic. We beat the real rubbish teams, and then we'll go and draw 2 really crap games, lose against an absolute woeful team, and then we'll win a game 4-0, and then we'll have a couple of good games, and then we'll be back on the slump of not winning anything and being atrocious, and everyone in the country wanting whoever the manager is at that particular time sacked, and somebody brought in who's going to bring in cheers and love, and then we get to a World Cup or a Euros, and then we all fall in love with the football again because it's England and everyone gets behind it. And then we found that actually the team has been doing stuff behind the scenes. And I completely agree. Friendlies, in my opinion, just seem pointless. But the only thing that you can get in the players together are friendlies and these other games. So they help bond the team. They help build that spirit and understand things. We don't know. They might just go out, but they'll be learning other things. They'll be playing on the training pitches most of the time that they're against each other in the league. So it's the only time that they get to be together. And I get that the games can be drab, and I get that it can be sad. I don't care about games being drab.
I care about seeing Plan B and Plan C.
But we won't see plan. We don't need to see the Plan B, Plan C, as long as it's being worked on. That's what's going to be happening.
Then you're working in training.
Well, I'm assuming they're doing training because it looks like they're not doing training, but I'm assuming something goes on way more than we see,
so
judging by the documentaries I've seen.
Okay, so then, but that logic, what you're saying is all these other fringe players do not need to play any friendlies against actual opposition. Because
you guys all said earlier, if they're playing really well for Brentford and whoever's house, they're playing at top level, it'll be fine. But
then they're not playing.
And now you're telling me no.
But if that's the case, then why is Harry Kane playing? But that logic, none of you could just play Tony or Abraham then, because Kane also plays at a top level and blah blah blah. And we know
I
what he's got
wasn't
in the
saying
locker.
that they were good enough, but I'm saying that Harry Kane is going to continue to play every single game that he is fit for, and whether that's left back, right back, goalkeeper, wherever he will be in that team. Quite rightly so. Until the day that he dies or retires, he
Okay.
will be in that England team because he's earned the right as an England player for that. He's still scoring goals, and if he's out of position in that context, that's again 100% down to Gareth Southgate to say you're playing in the wrong place. You need to be playing here.
So to
and if that's not
simplify-
happening, then that's fine. Or that is the actual strategy that Harry Kane does that and then brings the other two players up into that. But obviously, they're not doing what they should be doing.
But
so
to simplify,
we don't know.
Part of as my understanding of a friendly, apart from all the bonding stuff behind the scenes, part of it is to give your fringe players or guys, whatever, experience.
We haven't had a friendly yet
in a competitive game. So I'm not talking about just this game against Italy or possibly the game against Germany to come. Historically, he's pretty much playing his favorite team game. Every game, there's one or two
stats show that he's the one England manager that has given a lot of players chances. I think they've had how many new caps under Southgate compared to any other England manager. The only thing that happens is that with the friendlies, because once again, Nations League is not a friendly, but with the friendly, he seems to play. He tries players out, and then when it comes to the competition, he keeps his core players. So now, can I ask the core players we're talking about here? Maguire definitely is a core player, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Pickford, if he's fit, Reece James, of course Harry Kane. So those four,
and Rice.
I used to think Rice. Okay, let's throw in Rice. I used to think
Sterling really as well, for honest.
Sterling. So that's 6.
Yeah. I think he's got about 9, to be honst, core players.
Foden, I would say no because of the Euros. The Euros proved that he could drop him.
Yeah.
I think the way things he used to be. So let's just stick with the 6.
Have we got Sterling in there as well?
Yeah, Sterling's in there.
Yeah, Sterling's part of the 6. So we have Pickford, Maguire,
Walker as well,
Kane, Walker. So you have this player. So that means technically, there's just very few spaces left for you to get on that team. Pretty much, there's a handful of spots left.
And if Calvin Phillips was fit, I don't know if Bellingham plays. To be honest,
but then I might prefer Calvin Phillips than Bellingham.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I prefer either. But if Calvin Phillips is fit,
I haven't seen Bellingham enough, but I've seen Calvin Phillips play, who's been decent enough.
I'd love to question that stat you came up with, JJ, about Southgate giving players a chance, because from what I've seen, it's what Mike said. He gives them a chance, and that's it. They get 1 or 2 games. Like, I'd love to see the stat of how many games they actually get, because he might have used a load of players in like lesser games against whatever Malta, San Marino, but they don't. They don't stay around. Some of them might stay around.
I didn't say they stay.
I
didn't say they stay. All I say is that he has given them a chance.
Francis Jeffers, 1 cap, 1 goal.
The only player I'll say is
100%.
Rohan Ricketts, 1 cap, 1 goal.
100%.
There's a lot of players.
Saka, Trippier, those 2.
David Nugent.
I think my point around this discussion, if we're talking about core players, he has consistently shown that he will not go outside the core players. Even if you expand those core players to like 15 or 16, he rarely goes outside them, particularly in tournament football. Like, so there's how big's the squad for the World Cup? Is it 26?
I think so.
22.
If it's FIFA, they'll want 100 so you can buy shirts. And just to make as much money as possible off people in the World Cup, right? So, if I agree, but on a counter argument of saying that core players are potentially it's hard to break in the team and then continue to get in, but is he wrong having a core set of players that he completely trusts?
No, it's not wrong with that, but you've got to have alternatives still, surely. So you can't keep playing. If it's working, beautiful, no problem. But when it is not working in game, what happens then?
But has it not worked on a tournament? Criteria. Are we only going to judge him on tournaments or friendlies? Because at the end of the day, if we were going to go like if we won the World Cup, right? Regardless of how drab the football is or how much we'd be like, fuck, brilliant, right? That would be like amazing for any England fan. We'd be well happy, and he would be the best England manager since 1966, right? Regardless if he's been the best or not.
So we're judging Southgate really on results, because none of the performances have been sublime, really, hardly any of them really in tournament football. But the result is the result. So a final and a semi, results wise, you can't really knock it. we got there. Should have won, didn't. That's fine. But if you analyze the performances, because we won't always get that rub of the green. What breeds confidence in a team is the performances. Even when you don't win, it's like, oh yeah, but we were unlucky there. You can't really say that about England. That we were unlucky. We just kind of bundled through.
We're all similar age, right? So we grew up with the golden generation with Beckham and all the best players.
I'm
right?
the youngest, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a similar
keep
age.
saying that, everybody. So we grew up with
I'm Lineker and Gaza for me, mate.
But we grew up with the golden age, a golden generation of football, right? So these were meant to be the people that were going to win it, and we'll go back and we think of our best players. They'll probably be from that squad of or thereabouts. And now you look at the current ones. And do we have to look more realistic about the way that we're going to play football? Because we go, all right, we've got some good players, but we're nowhere near as good as Brazil, or we're nowhere near as good as Argentina or France. And then we go, actually, maybe we're playing pragmatic is really going to help us out when it comes to those games, opposed to before going, actually, why the hell don't we attack? We've got the best midfield and we had Rooney, we had got Owen, we got the fastest, best striker. And then we go, why are we not using these players? But now we go, we've got a forward that runs like a car reversing, like is that slow? Like there's literally completely different ethos in how we now play. So do we approach it differently from that? I'd be interested to see what you guys thought.
Well, you only need to be as good as them for 90 minutes, to be honest. So in that 90 minutes, as long as you're better than them in that 90 minutes, or lucky, it's fine. So we don't have to be better than Brazil. Just that we just need to know how to play compactly when we need to.
But can we take the game to them and go, oh, you know what, this is what we need? Or can we not take the game to the good clubs? That's what I'm thinking.
If the game requires it, if the game requires it, we should be able to.
Do you think we've got the players there?
I strongly remember that, especially everybody on GRC, all you pundits, one of the biggest hailings that we always give somebody like Graham Potter is he knows exactly how to tune his team to play anybody he's playing. So if England is going to play Brazil, as Mike said, you have 90 minutes. Strategize, make it work, know your limits, know your limitations, know your power, make it use that. That's how that's how any team should play. I don't think most teams go out going, oh yeah, we're the best in the world, so we'll just outplay them regardless. We just go, meet them in the center of the ring. Even Brazil now, they're not as good as they used to be, but I'm pretty certain that their managers or the coaches will be like, look, let's just play a certain style of football that will make us win, not just, go out there swinging, which I think Southgate has been very good. But time will tell. Ladies and gentlemen, just on the last question for this beautiful GRC football TV, Southgate, angry one, is he the man to take England to a World Cup win? I mean, it's not like you can sack him now, but
then yes,
based on what you're saying, based on what you're saying, is he still the right man for the job?
I mean, to be honest, he's earned the right to try one more time. And also, like you said, we can't sack him anyway. So, yeah, give him a shot. I mean, he might surprise us and do something completely... Maybe he's just experimenting these friendlies, and like Neil says, he doesn't really care. But I suspect he's going to play the same team.
I'm laughing because the dog is licking his lips. He wants to answer that question.
Unless we get Potter in.
Mr. Hinder, is Southgate the guy?
Is he the guy? I mean, we can't sack him. You just told us that. He's too close to the World Cup. Are we going to win it with this team? He's the guy, but I don't think the team's the team. That's probably the issue that we've got.
Then that's his fault then, because he picks the team.
I don't think we've got the players, period, at the moment to win the World Cup. I want us to win and hand on heart every time think that we could, but I look at that and go, we haven't got the players currently.
But Italy didn't have the players and they won the Euro.
But they were a team.
Hey?
They were a good team. Pragmatic. This is
the
way we play, right?
Manager.
Yeah, Mancini's good.
Dunk, you can answer the question now.
No, don't let him. Just leave it like
that. No, he's not the man.
Who is?
So like he said, like we just mentioned, Potter's twice the manager of Southgate. Did you hear that stat from the Italy game? Southgate's the first person to get relegated as a player, a club manager, and an international manager. He's got the hat trick now. So yeah, he deserves to have his chance at the World Cup. Yes, like based on previous tournaments. like I said, I think his tenure's run out of steam. I really, like, from my point of view, like some people are saying like he has to win the World Cup to keep his job. Like, I kind of agree, but not for the same reason. What's he going to do to impress me in this World Cup? I don't know. Like, yeah, you'd have to say final, like at least to be impressive based on the last couple of tournaments. I don't think he's going to do it. Like, I think he's run out of steam. I think he's starting to show up that he's tactically not as good as other international managers managing the top teams. He can't adapt, like you just said about Potter, adapting to different opponents. He's done a little bit of that with Germany. That was the one case where it did work really well. But during games, he can't adapt. When we go behind, like, I can't see us winning any game where we go behind. Like, what's he going to do in those games other than just play the same way he's playing? So, unfortunately, no, I don't think he's the man. And hope, like, if it doesn't go well at this tournament, the FA need to replace him. Like, if he doesn't go deep in the tournament, the FA need to replace him after the World Cup.
That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. We shall find out in other episodes to come. Well, thank you very much, people.
I want to know now.
But the best thing I like for today's episode is Neil saying England has to win it in his lifetime, but he also believes they don't have a good enough team.
We have to win it in my life. I might die after the end of this year. Who knows?
I disagree with him saying we haven't got a good enough team, by the way. I disagree with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please, our content.
I'm the only one who said that we'd win it, and now they're like, oh, yeah, we've got a good enough team.
Because you were being emotional. This guy is actually...
Oh, so they're honestly thinking we've got a good enough team, but a bad enough manager.
Yeah, the manager's the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Traitors.
Neil, you want to end this episode?
Yeah. Just let JJ do his outro. He's been practicing this all day.
Good.
Come on, we're editing nicely. Go on.
Okay, cool.
We've built it up now. Where's the drums?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hope Southgate keeps his job and, surprises those of us at GRC Football TV. You can find all our content on our website, www.grctv.co.uk. And, of course, on all our social platforms. Neil, hopefully England does win the World Cup in your lifetime. Thank you.
Does that mean that you're going to kill yourself straight after we win it then? Or was just to be sure?
I mean,
Dunk.
Hopefully,
dark. Southgate changes your mind and does something to impress you.
Proves me wrong.
And you don't, yes. And, of course, the angry one, Ivan, Tony, and Tammy will probably play one day.
Yeah.
In a five-a-side tournament. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Play to the Whistle, GRC Football TV. Stay tuned on more things.